may seem odd to focus on breathing strategies when obviously we're all doing fairly well with our breathing. We're getting in plenty of oxygen, we're alive. But the reality is that breathing can become altered and a little bit dysfunctional, compensatory as time goes on. How does that happen? Stress, the busyness of our lives, and certainly training, racing, exercising can lead to some compensatory breathing strategies. In this video, I want to help restore what is normal three-dimensional breathing. Our goal will be first to move away from our sympathetic fight or flight nervous system strategy and move more into parasympathetic, which will help us recover, feel better, be more relaxed, and create more balance in our lives. The second goal will be to help us learn how to access more of this three-dimensional breathing, which is to say using our thorax or thoracic area, our abdominal area, and even our pelvic cavity to really enhance how we breathe. And our third goal will be to use these breathing strategies in conjunction with our basic abdominal brace, finding our neutral pelvis, to improve and access better foundational core stability. So Terry's joined me here on the floor, and we're going to work through some optimal breathing strategies, some breathing practice, if you will. You can do this practice in any position. You could do it standing. We could reposition Terry so her feet are up against the wall, which might give her a little bit more of a base of support. It's nice to do this on the floor, lying down and looking up. It's a comfortable position to practice. We'll also want to remember that routinely we want to inhale through our nose and exhale through pursed lips, and we can include the nose in the exhale as well. And we want to exhale about twice as long as we would inhale. For our practice purposes right now, we're going to work with a 2-1-4-1 strategy. So we'll inhale for 2 seconds, pause for a second, and then exhale for 4 seconds, and then pause for about 1 second. Now, the optimal breathing really accesses all three areas of our entire trunk. I think of this thorax or thoracic area, our abdominal area, and then right down into our pelvic cavity, which includes the pelvic floor. It's good to remember, and you can actually see here in this video, that the diaphragm and the pelvic floor are really synchronous areas that move as one. So as you inhale, the diaphragm will suppress or move inferiorly along with the pelvic floor. And then, of course, there's elastic rebound and they move superiorly or back up toward the head. So we'll practice this as well and really access all three of these areas. Now, I think, Ter, that the best way to think of this is to imagine this entire area is a balloon. Let's focus on one area at a time, right? So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and place your hand right there in your lower abdomen. And I want you to just think about bringing your breath down into this area. Really think three-dimensionally and imagine that that balloon is expanding, right? And we'll come back to that 2-second inhale through the nose, pause for a second, and then 4 seconds of exhale through pursed lips. Follow me along here, right?
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2-second inhale, allow the belly to expand fully. Pause for a second, and then 4-second exhale. And really feel and see in your mind's eye the expansion of that lower abdomen. So let's focus on the next area. If you can, Tara, find the lower rib, the 12th rib, the bottom of your rib cage. We want to look for that rib
right on the outside of our trunk. If we find that rib, then we'll be able to feel that. Part of this three-dimensional breathing strategy is allowing for the rib cage to expand. Remember, when we get into too much sympathetic nervous system activity, which is fight or flight, right? Which is that when we're anxious, we tend to breathe more into our chest and we miss out on accessing these other areas. And it's not nearly as healthy for us to breathe only into the chest. So we need to see the full expansion three-dimensionally of the rib cage. So again, the same approach, follow along with me here. We're going to have a nice relaxed inhale for 2 seconds. Feel that expansion of the rib cage. Pause for a second, then exhale for 4 seconds through pursed lips, right? Just repeat with me one more time. Inhale for 2. Can you feel the rib cage expanding, okay? It's very common to have some restrictions in the rib cage. Remember, there are ligaments, muscles that control how much that expands. It's very normal, if we haven't done this or if we're not accessing this kind of breathing, to see a restriction in the motion of that rib cage, which limits our ability to access this when we want to breathe. All right, now, the third area, and this is probably the trickiest, we want to see, of course, that side-to-side expansion of the rib cage, but we also want to see a front-to-back expansion of the rib cage. So we've got the diaphragm and pelvic floor moving this way. We have the belly expanding this way because the diaphragm's moving down. We've got the rib cage moving laterally from side to side. Again, a balloon expanding three-dimensionally. The last thing we want to see, if we can access, is to see the rib cage expanding this way, okay? So I think, put one hand up here on your upper chest, the other hand down here in your belly. And do the same thing. Out, in for 2, pause, out for 4, okay? This time I want you to see if you can connect to the feeling of the back of your rib cage pressing down into the floor. See if you can feel that. Begin whenever you're ready. So again, this is one of those things that if we don't use it, we can lose it. And if we can't access the full capacity of all of these cavities in what Evan Osar referred to as the thoracolumbar cylinder, then we're restricted in our ability to breathe effectively and efficiently using all of these systems. It's a good idea to tap into these breathing practices to move out of sympathetic or fight or flight. This is meditative in essence. We can bring this practice into all of our movement training. When we combine these breathing strategies with our basic abdominal brace, which remember is just a tightening of the lower abdomen. It's not a restriction or a hard brace. It's just a little bit of a brace to stabilize. When we bring all of these strategies together, we create optimal foundational stability of the core, where everything is performing its job, doing what it was supposed to do, what it did when we were infants or small children. So as a last reminder, don't use too much force with any of these. Find a breathing rhythm that works for you. The 2-1-4 one is nice. That leads to about 8 seconds per breath and about 7 to 8 breaths per minute, which is a really nice respiration rate that can lead to enhanced relaxation, enhanced recovery, less anxiety, and better execution of all of the movements that we're going to perform in Restoration Foundation. This is a tremendous start and foundation to all of the other training that we're doing.